Good morning, good evening, good night. Welcome to NFT Live on the Web3 Network. Last episode of the week. Glad to have everybody in here. Glad to have Mr. Gone from Parallel Trading Card Game. One of the most talked about projects on this whole channel, whole show between me and Gifted. So excited to have the man himself, Mr. Gone, joining us here today. I see the chat. I'll get to it in just a moment. Gif, how are you feeling straight off another amazing GM Web3, brother?
What a week. This has been a wild week for the Web3 network, y'all. We had Machi just pop in again, but we had special guest Karen Jerzik coming through talking about her new show, and Mr. Gon, who is also joining us here, come in and talk about Planetfall, which is the new expansion from Parallel. It's just been a wild one, man. I'm not going to say I'm happy this is the last show of the week, Q, but I'm kind of happy that we get to at least take a short break after this one. Holy heck.
Yeah, we're going to get into the episode here in just a moment, share out all of this stuff as we go, of course. So, leave a like on the episode if you can as well. Guys, I did have a local piece of news that I just saw break before we went live. Easy in Crypto changing his PFP to an Oni. I see you out there, Easy. I see. That's a big move. It's a big move.
Our Treb.
All right,
Mr. He's an on-one weirdo, just like us.
He is, yeah. Man, is that going to stick? We'll see. All right, Mr. Gaunt's here with an amazing shirt, by the way. Excited to have you, man. You did talk with us a little bit at the end of that GM Web3 show as well, so thank you for hopping over here. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I'm just trying to catch my breath. It seems like, getting this game out the door and building expansions and doing all the stuff that we're trying to do is like, there's never any rest, but I'd rather have it this way than not have any work. So I'm kind of thankful, but it's also just exhausting.
Yeah, and you were traveling recently too, I believe. Didn't you actually get a little bit of a vacay or something? I'm sure you were working a lot while you were there, but I believe you were like Europe or somewhere.
Yeah. So I went with my family to and a friend of mine to Paris. We went. I'm a big rock climber. We went rock climbing, and then spent some time in Paris proper. That was a lot of fun. But then immediately after I was done that, we went to, I came back, I was home for a day, and then I went to New York for work. And then most recently, again, Vegas for TwitchCon for work. So, and that stuff is great. I mean, I always have a lot of fun traveling and doing all that stuff, but it's also like exhausting. And I like to stay at home. I miss my own bed. I miss my shit. I want my toys and my computer and all that stuff. So,
all right. So we're going to lay the foundation for this convo here in just a moment, kind of get into the backstory on Parallel. They do, like Gifted was saying, have a Planetfall sale. The pre-sale manifest is live now. I'm going down here. It looks like I have access to some manifest action. So I'm going to be minting later today. There were a lot of notable accounts that were max minting last night as well as this morning. So we're going to touch all things Parallel Planetfall here.
You got 80 ETH, Q. You're going to be max minting.
No, I spent it all on Ape and now I have nothing. So I'm just going to stay on that Ape fudge train right now. So Marty's going to love it. All right. I'm sharing out the episode here. One thing that I did not get. So if you are a Parallel maxi here and you are in their Discord, drop that over in Discord. Let's get as many folks in here as possible. I didn't do that yesterday with Shrapnel. We're doing some back-to-back, episodes here on the Web3 gaming space. I already told you, Mr. Gon, that Tony gave y'all mad props. So it's cool to see the collaboration between, Shrapnel and Parallel, at least at the founder level.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love those guys. I was saying on your other show that I was in Vegas and I spent a lot of time just like chilling with Tony while I was there. Like we were attending the same events and just hanging out. Even just outside of the work stuff, like I took him out for lunch, or he took me out for lunch actually, and he's just a good guy. And I only met him through, being in Web3 and gaming and stuff. So it's not like we were buddies beforehand. Just a good dude. And I'm also, for the record, I'm a Shrapnel holder. I have a operator, so I'm ready to play when the game comes out for sure.
Love it, man. Yeah, we got to give out some expansion packs yesterday as well, man. You mentioned that you love being around your toys. I see a lot of sneakers behind you. Guessing you're a bit of a sneakerhead there. Maybe we can even touch on how you feel about all the awesome shoes that are getting dropped in Web3 towards the end of this. But Q also called out your shirt. That's clearly you're repping Recur, right? That's right. A Recur platform.
Is it?
No. Actually, Kalos, our CEO and good buddy of mine, he's responsible for this shirt. So he's the one who bought this for me. I can't take credit. I mean, I love it, but I can't take credit for it. So
yeah, no, I'm kidding. I think Recur did drop a Rugrats though. They definitely dropped several Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they did.
Mm-hmm. You got me shook.
Yeah. But yes, real quick, I saw you already flashing it. The disclaimer. We got to do it, y'all. This is not financial advice. We're not financial advisors. I know we look like it. I get it. You see this and you're like, those are some smart fellows. I should copy trade them and invest based on what they say. No, you shouldn't. We're just talking about cool shit on the internet. That's what we're doing. It's all public domain. It's all just our opinions, and do your own research.
All right. Like I said, we've been having a crazy week. So the dashboard, honestly, we're not going to hit a lot today. We're going to touch on Parallel. We are going to touch on this ApeCoin piece. And then GIF, I think if we have any time, if we have another full hour to give, we might get into Rate My Bags. We'll see. But yeah, biggest story of the day here is going to be Parallel and Planetfall. We touched on it a little bit to start. Mr. Garn, kind of lay some foundation very briefly about the journey that Parallel has been on. Y'all have been building for years. You did have that release of the closed beta there in On-Chain Summer this past summer, and would love to hear about that. But yeah, give a brief breakdown for those people who aren't, knowing about y'all.
Yeah, so Parallel is a TCG similar to Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone, Yu-Gi-Oh!, that sort of thing. If you are familiar with those card games, then Parallel should probably be somewhat familiar to you. You build a deck and then face off against other people who have built decks to see who is the best Parallel player. The big thing here is that, like other card games, in order to keep things fresh and exciting and fun, we're releasing expansions, and Planetfall is just our latest expansion. So we have the base set that people have been playing. It is in closed beta, but there are ways, send some messages, join our Discords, whatever. We'll get you into that closed beta, and we're hoping that coinciding with the actual in-game release of Planetfall will open up the beta for more people to play. And it's really just a way for us to shake things up and continue to evolve the game. I mean, it's interesting because you want people to play, and there's only so much time you can spend developing before you have to prove things out. And so a lot of these cards were cards that we had ideas for going into even the base set that just we had to save for later because we wanted to use them for bigger and better things or introduce new mechanics. And so, yeah, Planetfall is our first chance at showing the world sort of you've seen the base game, and now get ready to see what we really wanted to do.
Can you, while we have the sort of the original game trailer playing behind you here, just give us the briefest explanation of what's happening in this world? Because we're familiar, there's different parallels, etc. But whatever is happening in this video that people are I have no idea. Can you just set up a little bit for what we're seeing? What is this world, man?
It's a live action of Gifted Shroud getting beat up by a Markolian. It literally is live action.
So basically the story of the game is in the not too distant future, mankind has created or is running an experiment that they believe will give them infinitely renewable energy. The experiment actually just goes horribly awry, and it turns out that it's set off a chain reaction that's going to destroy the world. So kind of like mankind does, we find a way to survive, and we scatter to the stars. There's a whole bunch of different groups, which we call parallels, that go into different places. So the Ogden Core go into deep space, and rather than inhabit a planet, decide to stay on their mothership and harvest asteroids for minerals and water and all the resources they need to survive. I'll do the Earth in last, but the Cathari, they go out into deep space into Jupiter's moon. And because of the harsh living conditions of Jupiter's moon, they have to genetically modify foods and sort of clone themselves to survive. So they've sort of adopted technology that allows them to copy themselves, but it has rendered them sort of infertile. The Marcolians inhabit Mars. Marcolian stands for Mars colonists, and they've become sort of harsh and militaristic because of where they live. And then the Shroud are a group that try to take a generation ship into deep space, but gets sucked into a black hole. Well, that happens. And then to go back to the Earthen, they're in any conflict, there's some that get left behind, and the Earthen are the people that get stuck on Earth to endure this sort of like cataclysmic event. And the actual game itself takes place thousands and thousands and thousands of years later after the event. It turns out that the infinitely renewable energy, it was successful. There was just a large gestation period that sort of ravaged the planet. But all of these different groups of humans have now evolved separately, but in parallel with one another, and a return home to claim Earth and all of the energy for its own. And that is the story of Parallel.
Good. It's so awesome to have you here getting to explain it like that, because there is new parts to the story that I didn't know about too. And yeah, again, the thing that we started to get into it's like everybody's trying to get a handle on like what's actually happening right now with Parallel, because as you mentioned, during this horrible market, the bear market, when so many projects, so many cryptos, things have been just tracking downward or failed launches, we've seen it all, right? It hasn't been great over the last year or so. This project has been doing the opposite. It's been doing great. The Prime token, even when other things were crashing, was on an upward trajectory. So everybody, I feel like, is starting to pay attention. Even the people that aren't playing, that aren't that aware. And we're trying to like get a handle on like why. Why does it seem like Parallel is getting so much traction? Why does it seem to actually be working when so many things just don't work or break? And the thing that I came to, or that we started to discuss on GM Web3, is like, it just seems like all the different pieces have been done well. Like you really have a complete game here that has the cool lore, the cool art, the cool game mechanics. The gameplay is actually fun. You got cool incentives. The token is working. You've got syncs that are all working. So maybe, can you just talk a little bit more about like, what do you see working? Why do you feel like it's working, and what is working?
I mean, I think that one of the reasons people enjoy Parallel, and that's, I don't want to take credit for this, because I have a team of people that sort of help make the game as fun as it is. Shout out Connor, Carson, and John. But what we set out to do in the beginning, that I think a lot of other Web3 projects maybe struggle with, is we started with, okay, this is the game that we're going to make. Like, in fact, the project itself started out with the idea that we were going to make a game, and then the sort of Web3 stuff kind of came in afterwards. And so I think that like that really helps us, right? Because I think a lot of projects were like, hey, we have all this money, now what are we going to do? Oh, you know what we'll do? People like games, let's make a game. But for us, like, a lot of the time, effort, and energy was put into, let's figure out the story of this game. Let's figure out the rules of the game. Like, let's flesh all of this out, and then we'll work on the tech. And so I think that that's really sort of done us a service, because now that people are able to play it and can get their hands on it, they've been loving it. And I will say, even before that, like the fact that we had a full story to tell, and the lore was sort of all thought out, and people would be asking us questions about like, oh, how does this work and how does that work, and tell us more about the Cathari, tell us more about the Marcolians. And the fact that we had answers and we were able to kind of put it all out there, I think really attracted to the people to the project even before the game was playable. So yeah, I think it's just like where we put our energy in the beginning really has come back to help us in the end.
Yeah, there's some gameplay that's being shown to you guys like inside of the app. There's so many different things going on, and you guys, to Gifted's point, like you guys have tied them in together really well, when some other teams have kind of gotten lost along the way when they're trying to release different features. I'm interested in how you take the next step to, okay, you kind of, I don't want to call it saturated, like the people that are playing this game within Web3 love it, and I'm sure there's like a certain amount that you still need to kind of convert. where do you get to that next step where you're seen as kind of like this, like outside of Web3, you're seen as a playable game or an ecosystem that like traditional gamers, I hate that fucking term, but traditional gamers want to play?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. It's one of the reasons why um, I was at TwitchCon to begin with. I think that like uh, you know, more than anything, you just kind of have to get the word out there. And one of the things that we're uh, I consider ourselves lucky, and it wasn't like something that I did necessarily intentionally from the get go, is that the card game, like the sort of competitive card game landscape, it is pretty barren. You know, there's you can point to a few of them, like obviously Hearthstone, Magic, Runeterra, like all those games are fucking amazing games. But like, when was the last time a new one came in and made a splash? Like, not even just made a splash, but like, what's the newest card game that's competitive that you can even think of, right? Like, all of the ones that I can think of that have come out in the last little while are actually paper. So like Lorcana, Disney's Lorcana is a great example, or Flesh and Blood is another great example. But all of those games only exist in a physical space, and so I think we have the benefit of like card game nerds are like myself are looking for games like this to play on their computers, and so we're going to give it to them. The only thing that, I mean, it's a big thing to struggle with, but like the key is to now let them know that it exists and get them playing. And so, you know, we're working with a bunch of streamers and you know, trying to figure out ways of getting people interested and getting into their audiences and stuff. And one of the things that I don't know if this is alpha or whatever, and I'm sure you know, we as Parallel will talk about it soon, but we're working on a sort of a larger scale tournament with a bunch of, you know, we'll say Web2 native individuals,
Nice.
in order to sort of hit up their audiences as well.
Dude, that's awesome. And yeah, Q's been showing off some of the actual gameplay, what it looks like in the client, you know, how you can use the different cards and the assets to do different things. Also, really quick though, sorry, I want to share this. This is cool. Tell us what's going on with the decrypt crypties, which is a whole new thing. By the way, you got to set up like, what even is a crypty? Because like, I don't even know, man. This is new.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about it either, to be honest. Someone was nice enough to nominate us for the award. It's you know, some awards you can apply for, and in this case, you have to be nominated by somebody. And so somebody was definitely nice enough to nominate us for a game of the year at the Crypties. And I mean, I think that if Web3 is going to be a real long lasting thing, it makes sense that you know, there's awards for everything else. Why not Web3? And who better than Decrypt to sort of kick that off? And anyway, we've been lucky enough to get nominated for said award, and so I've been trying to force people into voting for us so that we can, you know, I have a lot of shit behind me, but I don't have any statues. So, you know, get me a statue.
If you shout us out in the award speech, we'll do it.
Okay, I'll do my best. I'll do my best.
Okay. Yeah, guys, we're sitting here with Mr. Gone here. He's breaking down Parallel and kind of laying that foundation. We only really have you for about 5 to 7 more minutes, man. And I would love in that time to get a breakdown. I'm a top 300 player. I don't know if that's good. It's probably not that good. It's definitely, like, I saw Gabby's
way
like
better
600.
than me. It's way better than me right now.
Gabby, eat your heart out over there with YGG. But just as from a player's perspective, but also add in that non-player perspective, like Planetfall is about to go live for the public here on the 28th. Like, what's the strategy that people should be taking? We were talking a little bit of like, should you do the boxes? Should you do the packs? So if you could lay a little bit of those details out before you have to leave us here.
Yeah, so there's a few offerings, right? We have crates, which are sort of like boxes of 10 collector packs. We have collector packs and we have player packs. So I'll start with the collector packs. Collector packs are for those who are like really gung ho and like, I want to get the rare stuff. I want all the stuff that surrounds the game, not just playable cards. I want the keys. I want the, you know, rare NFTs, that sort of thing. If you're sort of a hunter of those things, then definitely collector packs are where to get them. And what each collector pack comes with a collectible card back, which also doubles as a raffle ticket for what we call an ultimate pack. Anyone who's this gets super confusing, so I apologize, but anyone who's familiar with Parallel probably knows what a masterpiece is. These ultimate packs are guaranteed to include a masterpiece, all 3 of the new keys, and then the rest will be rare SEs, rare better SEs in that pack. So you definitely want to get in on the raffle ticket. Now, the reason why collector's crates are in my opinion, the way to go if you're into that sort of thing is, if you buy, basically you're buying 9 collector packs and getting the 10th one for free. And you're also getting 11 raffle tickets instead of the 9 or 10 that you would get if you had paid that same price in collector packs. So it just gives you more opportunity to get the real rare stuff. And we've introduced some interesting stuff, including there's a pack in the collector packs. There's like an NFT that will be redeemable for an SE set of the next expansion, which is called Aftermath. So after Planetfall will come Aftermath, and if you get this pack, you get one SE card of each card in the set. So like there's all sorts of weird shit like that. But to go back, player packs, like if you're just interested in playing the game, you want NFTs for that prime yield, or you're just interested in getting the NFT versions of the cards, player packs are priced at a more reasonable rate for that sort of thing. And it's like more aimed at the like, I want to play this game and be good at it, as opposed to like, I want to collect all the rare shit.
Yeah, and when he says SE, he means special edition cards, which are NFTs. There's also FE, which is first edition. This is all stuff that I got in and I learned really quickly, so it sounds convoluted, and there are a bunch of different moving parts. But once you get in and start playing and understanding the mechanics, like you'll get all of this stuff. And when he says prime yield, Prime is their token, and all these different assets you can play for free. I think it's really important to remind people you can get in. You don't have to buy a bunch of NFTs. You don't have to buy a whole bunch of Prime. You can get in and play for free. But yes, the reason why you want to collect all these things is because all of it affects your yield, how much Prime you can make just for winning games, for participating in the ecosystem. They give you multipliers, different types of benefits. They also just give you kind of like skins or different awesome things that look cool in the game. So again, it is a lot because these games are complicated. There's a whole world in there, but once you get in and start playing, all of this stuff starts to become easy.
Yeah. And I would say, like, if you're interested, if curious about any of this stuff, like, definitely join our Discord. There's a whole community of people willing to help you. Also, just search for Parallel on YouTube. We have we're lucky enough to have a bunch of creators who are making a bunch of really good explainer videos about how the game works, how the ecosystem works, all that stuff. So yeah, I would say just like, you're on YouTube now. When this show is over and not before,
yes,
in the search bar, search for Parallel and just see what comes up.
All right, this, by the way, this guy, Mr. Q, he's fucking with me, but this guy's one of those creators, by the way. He's really into it and making a bunch of cool content. So.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I haven't played trading card games since I was a kid, playing Yu-Gi-Oh! and Magic the Gathering. But one of my favorite conversations now to be brought back into is this balancing conversation that gets the community all riled up, I should say. Any updates there on like the next kind of patch that is happening? I know Markolians for a while after this new patch were just like what the community was saying OP, but just any updates on the balancing front?
Yeah, I will say I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, but we are working on a new something that's going to more than like rebalance the parallels, because I actually think it's like, I mean, people will probably murder me, but like I actually don't think it's that bad right now. What we're going to be working on is sort of mitigating the difference between first player and second player. Right now, if you go first, you have a slight advantage. It's not as bad as people think. People are like, oh, it's like crazy. It's like 60% or whatever. It's definitely not that. But we are going to try something pretty experimental to see if we can help mitigate that a bit more. It's going to be kind of crazy. So I don't want to spill the beans too much, but just know that it's like definitely something that we're working on and is going to be coming soon. As far as like rebalancing the parallels, we're not doing too much right now because things are sitting pretty well. I think that we're gonna let it play out for a little bit more data first, but you know, we'll always be tweaking. I also, to be fair, I think a majority of our eyes are on making sure that Planetfall, you know, goes out there and makes sense and all that stuff. So it's getting a little bit harder to focus.
Yeah, we got a few people chiming in here asking for 3v3 mode, draft mode. I do really like the question, you know, so if there's any updates on like multiplayer you can share, that would be cool. But also somebody's asking kind of like what Planetfall card does the most wild things. Do you have maybe like a favorite card, or are there any like cards that stick out to you as just like, you know, just the craziest ones?
Yeah, sure. My favorite one is I think we debuted it on Ali's stream, but the mole card. It sounds simple in its execution, but basically when you play it, it swaps place with a card in your opponent's deck. It has a muster that like basically you just take a random card out of your opponent's deck and play it, and then the mole goes into their deck. And so like it's one of these things that can like kind of, depending on how long the game goes and what the draws are like, can ping pong back and forward, which I think is like kind of hilarious because like you could pull like their best unit or garbage or one of their combo pieces and you don't know, but you're also giving them that tool. Then if they draw it at some point and they play it on you, the same thing could be true. So I think it's like I love that form of RNG, and so to see that sort of play out, I think will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, Dave is saying, ooh, I like the hot potato mole. So, yeah. Mr. Gunn, I would love to have you for a whole nother freaking 30 minutes. But, dude, you've been with us for a full hour and 15. I know you got things going on with Planetfall. Last thing for me, man, like I know I see it on the market. I think I could buy a hoodie with Prime. But, yes, I would love to be rocking hoodies up here every day parallel. I don't know if you work with different partners or things like that. But I would just love to be wearing a parallel hoodie on stream.
Yeah, let's talk. Yeah. I'm sure that we can figure something out. They don't let me near that stuff, but I'll definitely tell the people who actually do it to be like, hey, get these guys.
Yeah. Shameless plug there at the end.
I mean, shameless plug. Anything we can do to get some parallel swag is dope. But that's also a great segue to my last question, talking about streetwear and merch. What is your favorite NFT Web3 shoe drop so far? If you're a sneakerhead, I'm sure you've seen some out there. What's the best one that you've seen so far?
That's a good question. I have only participated in a couple. I have the crypto kicks. That's what they're called, I think. The artifact, like self-lacing sneakers. I have a few pairs back there. I like the design isn't my favorite, but like in practice, they're actually no, not those. Those aren't available yet. Hold on, I'll get a pair. 1 sec.
Oh, we got the IRL. We don't need to be showing it. We got the IRL. Let's go.
Yeah. These guys.
Ah.
Yeah. These guys, they're like have LED lights in them. They're like self-lacing. They charge.
I do remember that drop. Yeah,
that's sick. That's sick.
So I got a bunch of those in like a bunch of different colorways. Those are interesting. The ones you were just showing, I'm interested in. I'm like kind of afraid of what the build quality might actually be like because they seem like they got a lot of shit sticking out of them and it looked pretty plasticky. So I'm like, is this actually going to be like?
That's how I felt. Yeah, like I didn't articulate it that well in my mind because I'm not as big a sneakerhead as you clearly are, but that's kind of what I see.
Yeah, like am I going to wear them and then they're just going to get destroyed after like 10 seconds? I don't know. So like that's my fear there. Whether or not like that's founded is a different story. But I'm curious because they look cool, and I definitely ordered them. As far as the other ones, like I don't have any dot swoosh stuff. I saw a lot of people get them and sort of talk shit on them. They seem okay to me. I don't see what the big deal is. But yeah, I mean I'm here for it. Like any way that I can spend my ETH on shoes as opposed to my dollars on shoes, so that I don't have to go through an exchange or whatever. I'm like, yeah, give it to me. I'm in.
Love it, man. All right, bro. This was great. We will be in contact here over the next coming days as Planetfall goes live. Thank you so much, man. I keep saying this every time we have you on, but like I believe, and I could probably find in the archive when you guys first launched, you were on NFT Live at some point. So it's been a journey. It's always cool to see OGs still building.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for continuing to have me. The fact that people keep asking me to speak after I've already spoken once before is like amazing to me. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know what insights I have, because I mean, especially in this space, I'm just like, I don't know shit about Web3. I'll be honest with you, but I'm happy to be back and talk about Parallel and you know.
Doesn't know shit about Web3, might be creating possibly the best Web3 game ever created. So, dude, thank you so much for coming. NFT Cutie voted for you. We dropped the link over there in the chat. Go vote for them on Decrypt for best game of the year. That's Parallel. That's Mr. Gon.
Yes, thanks again.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate you.
Man, what a week, man. What a week. Yeah, that guy's cool because you can tell he's just humble and chill and just loves the work of making a cool game. You know, he's not caught up in all the nonsense and the bullshit and like trying to be like a super influencer and flex hardcore. You know, I mean, he does have some dope kicks, so he did flex on us a little bit there at the end. But you know, he doesn't seem really caught up in that whole like thing, right? He just seems like he's nerdy about the thing that he's nerdy about. And he's doing it well, you know.
That's one of the things I was trying to say on GM Web3 for the people that don't know, haven't like looked into Parallel. Like one piece of alpha you can kind of find behind the scenes is that there is a Parallel podcast that both the founders just sit on and talk Parallel. Like that's awesome. You know what I mean? Like that's something that seems small to people, but it's like, you know, a grifter's not going to fucking do that. You know, like people that don't care about their project are not going to do that. So,
and you know, I'll create a parallel here that people won't like. To your point, Q, it kind of seems like things at Yuga started to take a turn when they stopped a fucking metaverse podcast. Just saying, maybe if they kept that podcast going, we wouldn't be where we are today.
All right, the comments are coming through here. Yes, Extinct, it was a shameless plug. Okay, I'm trying to rock Parallel gear. All right, I've been trying for a while. Easy and Crypto saying voting now. Dave says Mr. Gon is a treasure. Benja says great interview. I thought he was a hoarder at first. That one TV show. All right, thank you guys for tuning in all the way through. Almost halfway through the episode now. So we do these daily here. We take a break on Fridays. Right now, I keep trying to push this. I might start something up on Fridays, but we'll see. Right now, 1 p.m. Eastern, every single day, we hop into NFT Live, post our X Spaces. So definitely excited to be sitting here with everybody on YouTube now to go over some other things we may have missed. GIF, I'm going to be honest, man. I'm tired.
Yeah, dude, this was a crazy week. So yeah, again, shout out to all y'all who have been here for what's been one of the biggest weeks for the Web3 network so far. We get to this point in the week. I wake up super early and just literally roll out of bed, try and get some coffee in me and start go live. And so I wake up at 6:45, 7 a.m. Monday through Thursday, and just we're live for hours. And then we focus on the research. So it's we get to this point in the week and we're just exhausted at this point. So dude, I'm down to wrap up the show early to hit some headlines and he's like, no, we're going to be live for another 3 hours. Dude, I am not. Dude, you're saying you're tired, and you're the one that said you wanted to rate my bags today. What are you thinking?
We'll see. I just want to take a look. We haven't touched it
masochism.
In so long.
That's masochism to try and pull that right now. There's no way. We'll get into fucking. We'll be up here trying to box each other.
I just want to see it. I want to take a look. We'll see. Anyways, I want to take a look at the breaking news before Gifted gets too upset at me. Yuga Lab says we have been made aware of a potential but unsuccessful takeover attempt on Daniel Allegre's Twitter account. This was 2 minutes ago, so a little bit of breaking news here that we can get into. I've got a couple other stories that I want to go off with here, at least from a lightning round perspective. Big winners: Wonky Stonks is up 50%, Potatoes are up 20, Moon Bear's up 20, Heavy Metal is concluding next week and is up 21%. And then Mochaverse up 14. Big losers on the day: Sproto Gremlins down 18, My Pet Hooligan down 16, Raw Pass down 12. Parallel Avatars, people must have heard that they were on NFT Live because they floored it. I don't know. Usually we pump projects. I guess they just floored it today. Parallel Avatars down 10, and Sugartown is down 10. I will get into some other stories here now, but great comments coming through. We appreciate your effort. Benja, I got to find Benja's tweet because this is awesome as well. So Giff, you have anything before we hop into the rest of this news?
I'm literally looking for his tweet right now.
Okay.
So I'll have it in just a moment because this is the type of stuff that gets me absolutely amped up. It's when people from the community who, out of the goodness of their heart and out of like positive sentiment, like from a good place, want to help build and rep the community in different ways. We have not yet created any Web3 merch. I want this to be, the spot for like Web3 lifestyle. We definitely want to be creating dope merch in the future. We just aren't at a place yet to do that well. And we want to create quality stuff. We don't want to create junk. It's just awesome to see Benja, someone from the community who we love, out there creating his own Web3 stickers, taking those to Hong Kong, going to Ape Fest, I think. So Web3 will be there, man. Some people will get the first ever Web3 stickers created by just one of our dope community members. That shit gets me amped up, man. So shout out to you, bro.
Absolutely. Yeah. Big shout out to Benja on that. And yeah, to say that we don't have any like actual physical products out yet, and we have community members that are out there in HK that are going to rock it. That's fucking cool, man. All right.
And he's saying, I wouldn't know anything if the rehash didn't exist. Yes, sir. We appreciate it. That's why we do it, man.
Okay. This might be some of the like back to back, the clowniest news day that I've ever seen. Like the next three pieces of news is just like, what is happening? I guess the Claynosaurs piece isn't that clowny, so I'll start with it. We did get that official announcement. This is via Lucky Trader, by the way. They do a great job. Claynosaurs is launching plushies. So Luke and Net's Pudgy Penguins route for the Claynosaurs. They're cute.
VeeFriends, Pudgies, Cool Cats, Claynosaurs. Look, people love plushies and they love toys and they love collectibles. These are I'm starting to get that thing in the back of my head though, where it's like, one of the biggest criticisms that people threw at NFTs in the first place was like, these are just fucking Beanie Babies. And then you see this and I'm like,
They're turning them into Beanie Babies. I can't wait for fractionalized Claynosaur plushies. That's going to be awesome. Speaking of VeeFriends.
Well, yeah. Okay. Real quick though, on the plushies and the VeeFriends, actually it is relevant. Because
it's relevant to Chuck E. Cheese.
It's relevant to this like kids thing where it's like, okay, I get it. Like Gary Vee is building a whole kids entertainment empire, family friendly, kids focused entertainment. I get that, and I do believe Gary will be successful. I think that he will figure out how to turn VeeFriends into something. He's literally getting VeeFriends entertainment content into almost 500 locations in almost 50 states for all of November. I believe Gary Vee is going to create some kind of kids franchise that is successful on some level. The question to me is, I do not yet understand how kids brands feed into NFTs at all. Like there's such a disconnect between targeting kids and NFTs to me and who the audience of NFTs are that I like. Pudgy seems to be the one that is kind of doing that.
I think you have to switch the thought process from you're targeting kids to I'm targeting the dads of these kids.
But when I see those plushies, I'm like, is that for dads? Like,
no, it's for dads
Pudgy
to their kids.
I think Pudgies is. I think Pudgies is. Maybe Claynosaurs will do that. I don't know. I've never looked at these as like, oh, I'm like going out. I mean, okay, to some extent, yes, but I've never seen, like, to your point, the connection between, oh, a kid sees a Pudgy Penguin at the store. I guess maybe 5 years from now, if that continues to kind of have momentum, you eventually get to some type of show that you can launch and like people actually know about it. Like I could see that, but more so on the Pudgy front, what I see is people that are already in the community, the dads, the family, the dads and mothers buying the kids the plushies.
not like the kid being like, I need a pudgy penguin. Do you see what I mean?
Yes, and I think you're right if you can set it up in a way and make it cool for both. But I think also the thing about Pudgy is that they have like a whole onboarding experience that takes you into like a digital funnel that has a fun game for kids, and it's like, you know what I mean? So there's a whole digital experience that's connected directly to those assets that I think is still fun for kids and the parents, to your point. But that's a very difficult thing to do, is like build that whole experiential bridge. You know what I mean? And so other than Pudgies, I don't know who else is doing that well yet. I don't think VeeFriends is doing it particularly well yet, but maybe I'm wrong on that. Arifim saying, rocked my Black DB's hoodie this AM. Yo, big love to you.
It's good. Good merch.
Easy
good merch.
saying, target parents, they buy the NFT and collect the Pudgy for the kids. Yeah, I guess you're right. That is the move that a lot of them are thinking about.
Man, Chuck E. Cheese. Okay, the announcement is 47 states are adding, I guess, a VeeFriends entertainment content to Chuck E. Cheese's. So 500 Chuck E. Cheese's are getting some VeeFriends content. We again, I just showed you the plushies, and then the third story, the clowniest of the stories, is this man right here talking about NFTs. So let's watch.
Dude, we're gonna get reported and taken down just for playing this dude.
I don't think I can make it.
So today we're going to talk about NFTs. There was a time when very successful.
All right, I'm already done with it. I'm done with it. I thought I could make it through, but let's not even get into it. Let's not even do it.
Look, here's the thing. Here's the thing, man. I actually don't like hate Andrew Tate like a lot of people do. I think that like he's a controversial figure. He does a lot of that on purpose. I think that some of the things that have been thrown at him may or may not be true and all that shit. I actually don't have as negative a take on him as a lot of people do. But he owns crypto and a casino. Like we were talking about, like, so for him to come out and be shitting on NFTs and crypto is, I think he's just trying to get a rise and again, play into like a certain narrative and position himself as like oh, I'm smarter and better than everybody, which he does a lot. You know, that's his whole ego and his whole persona is like everybody else is dumb and doing it wrong.
100%.
And yeah, so anyway, I don't really respect this take. It feels a little bit hypocritical to me, and that's it. I don't really want to spend a lot of time talking about it.
Everyone is asking who's the guy, but I guess he sees it's Andrew Tate. Yeah, it really, like, he's the type of like influencer that plays into the beta male that wants to like, I'm gonna make it, like I'm gonna turn my life around. It's because I listened to Andrew Tate, and yeah, I'm just not about that. The one thing I will say, like, I'll listen to that. It took me like 8-9 hours after it came out, and I was like, okay, I'll finally like I'll see what this is about. And immediately within the first 45 seconds, he's talking about the right-click save, which is just like a very, very mid-curve thing. Yeah. Like it's just like the most mid-curve take that's ever been invented by the human brain is like the right-click save for the NFT. So I was just instantly, it's just. It sucked for me. But go ahead.
And he can have smart takes, he can have bad takes on all kinds of things, and that's fine. But this to me, I agree with you, is not the most informed or smart take of his. So that's all fine.
Right. We've had a whirlwind week, but I will say, like, the last day has just been, it's been a lot.
Literally shook over here.
Yeah, I don't even know where to begin this story. I guess I'll just say like the basics, right? Like the DAO vote for the cut of the special counsel ended last night at 9 p.m. And it's not getting cut, right? It's not getting cut.
Yeah.
People voted against it, and when I say people, I mean a minority of individuals voted for this down, when the majority of folks actually voted yes. You can see here, and there were two funds, by the way. So Jerry had a AIP to help Lahaina and the folks that are affected there. That one was very close. You can see that like hundreds of thousands of ape. Like that one basically was a tie. I actually abstained from this. So there's a whole story around the ApeCoin DAO and pieces like this. But this is the important one. AIP 337 Machi joined today. SSP joined again today to kind of get a post-mortem recap on all this stuff. It's actually good that Machi, again, we're in this situation where he is going to be very volatile, I think, with and hopefully not, but that's just been his history. But like, he could have easily been like, all right, motherfuckers, like AIP 337 didn't go through. Like, y'all clearly are just going down with the ship. I'm bouncing, you know? So I'm just hope like we get some type of stability, and in him coming in and not being that pissed about this is a good sign. But yes, I did the data on this, the poll data afterwards, and I looked into it. And so what I found was that 300 and about 303, around that amount, voted for this proposal. About 70-ish votes voted against this proposal, and yet the against won by 4 million ape votes, and this didn't go through.
Yeah, so that's like about 4 times more people voting for it, which is not great.
Yeah.
It's not great. So I understand the frustration. And again, I even though I'm not like really as engaged as you right now and don't have as much ApeCoin in my bag, I think it's dumb. I just don't think spending that much money for a part-time gig without clear oversight it makes any sense in this market.
And look, I stayed up till 3 a.m. in the morning, kind of just like, one, I was pissed. I was just like, look, from the beginning, we've been in BAYC. Obviously, ApeCoin is not BAYC. It's not Yuga Labs, but it is tangentially related. Like they're all kind of in this ecosystem. And I've been staking since the beginning. And so this specific proposal, I know this happens a bunch in ApeCoin DAO, and the people that have been there from the beginning told me that, and I believe them. But this specific proposal, the one thing I will say is it got me, it got me to at least understand how fucked up it is. Hopefully it got some other people to understand how fucked up this is. And so I went down the rabbit hole, man. So we're not going to spend too much on it here today. We'll touch on some light points. I did write a thread, and it's not about the thread. It was actually the response to the thread that I want to highlight, which is Yatsu got involved, and several other individuals were here tweeting. Alluvium and those guys were talking about how they use quadratic voting and a couple of different voting process. You can see Jerry there talking about some other votes that have gone through. So just kind of coming out, and I will say that's a positive, right? Like the activity around ApeCoin DAO is extremely positive. That's one thing you could take away. I keep trying to look for the silver lining, and I really can't find it, because essentially what the situation they're in, GIF, is the powers that be are in control of the DAO. If you even wanted to do some switch of like, hey, because this vote was more unique voters voting for it than against it, and it would have passed, can we get a switch to a more reputation-based system, or a unique voter equals one vote system? That shit will never happen, because the special counsel doesn't want to make any choices. The 5 people that are getting 20K a month, they don't want to make any decisions that are going to ruffle any feathers, and that's where it is. It's gridlock.
Here's the thing that concerns me about it, like more like at the higher level. This is basically the same shit that we see in our existing systems, right? Like with any sort of bureaucracy. And to me, part of the point of DAOs is that it should be a paradigm shift towards more democracy. If you're actually able to decentralize an organization properly, and at least I think ideally in like what does decentralization look like, it means you shouldn't have as many of those same types of issues that you see in the existing systems that we have, which are very broken for all those reasons that you just said. It's gridlock. The powers that are entrenched are just going to keep, manipulating the system the way that they want. It's incredibly hard to actually make any sort of change once the bureaucracy takes hold and the politics take hold. You have now already like some kind of entrenched power structure or bureaucracy within this thing, and the politics are so thick that, to your point, it's going to be tremendously hard. And that's why this is why you likened Machi to a Trump. We need some kind of outsider to come in and shake shit up. But again, and all of that may be true. what really worries me is that like if the experiment of DAOs is meant to create some kind of new system or new paradigm shift to improve on things, this doesn't feel like an improvement. It just feels like the same shit with like a different medium. And that's what really worries me now with, if I'm thinking about like the success of DAOs broadly speaking and the whole experiment of DAOs, is that if it literally just becomes the same shit and we can't figure out how to like tweak it or create certain incentives or mechanics where you don't so quickly just devolve into the same fucking behavior patterns and the same broken dynamics, then what's the fucking point of overcomplicating it or trying any of this? That's where my mind goes with that.
And Chon is saying DAOs can suck sometimes, 99.5% of DAOs. And NFTQ is saying 99%. And I will give Chon to this. There are DAOs that weren't structured like this initially, because that has a lot to do with where ApeCoin is today, the way it was started. It was kind of haphazardly like, holy shit, we could probably make it, you know, this is a negative take, but it was like the powers that be were like, we can launch a token and potentially like cash in big time. And there's the other side of it is like, oh, there's also this ability to have an ecosystem that's filled with like awesome community members, and we could utilize all the things of the DAO. That a DAO can provide. Again, I don't want to spend too much more time. I will say the narrative going around that seemed like, for whatever reason, like this narrative that we're grants DAO. I totally am so far against it, even up into, I wish I still had that tweet by Bored Ape Gazette, but the Jerry proposal, I abstained from the Maui proposal. We were going to send $1.2 million to Lahaina. That's a political piece. You, like if you vote against it, you're kind of saying like, yeah, I don't want to really help the Maui people, you know, the folks of Maui and all these different things. The one thing I will say is it highlights to me my take. We need some way to have, we need to be able to facilitate money coming back in somehow. This cannot be just like millions of dollars going out the door and no reciprocation, or we're just gonna die. Like it just is like, this is the way the world is. Go ahead.
Well, what you're getting into here, like when you talk about a grant DAO,
what is that, by the way?
Well, that's what I'm getting to. It's basically a non-profit organization. That's like basically what you're creating. And so to your point, if you've basically just created a nonprofit that has limited resources with no way of renewing those resources, then yeah, it's on a death spiral, to put not too fine a point on it, where it you know, it'll do a bunch of great work and then disappear in some amount of time when the funds run out. And that is what it is. You, and I think most people, want this to have some longevity and sustainability. And so it cannot be a nonprofit. It cannot be just a grant giving machine, because it just runs out pretty quickly too, like in this market, especially. So yeah, I think that's the confusion or what needs to be sorted out at a higher level of like, what the fuck is the DAO? And yeah, if the original charter is just to be a grants DAO, like that's cool and that's nice, but is everybody aligned with the fact of just being a nonprofit and like having this thing disappear in the next year or two?
Yeah, I'm giving you insight into like what's being said in these Discord servers and the narratives. Like the other piece is like, well, the special counsel is doing what they're set out to do in the charter. So like they're doing this, and it's already been cut down from 50,000 or whatever, 50,000 a month.
So Quantum saying nonprofits make money. Yes, but that's because they go out and they fundraise, right? So their primary, like the charter of a nonprofit is basically to be doing good work like grants or doing things, granting time, energy, helping people, which is basically what they're doing. Yes, nonprofits have to also go into, this is literally the problem that nonprofits have, is that they also have to constantly be marketing themselves, raising new funds to sustain themselves. Otherwise the nonprofit also disappears. So right now they like ApeCoin DAO is a nonprofit grant giving entity without any fundraising. There's no other side of the nonprofit to sustain it. It just got one big initial grant, and either there's got to be investment vehicles, other ways that money can be keeping going, which is what big entities like a Stanford or something do, like big funds. They have enough that they can find ways to kind of make that money work for them, and then just give out some of the profit, et cetera, and keep themselves going. Either you figure that out, or you've got to raise new funds somehow.
The tough part about this is that Bored Ape, amongst a lot of other collections, has a potential to actually have a really active and really awesome DAO. That's pie in the sky, and that's might be a little bit idealistic, but they have the necessary ingredients, and you see it play out. The problem is, and I don't want to understate it too much, like what is happening now is that they're bleeding the DAO dry, and it seems like that is going to continue, and there's not going to be many changes because the special counsel doesn't want to do anything about that. And what they kind of lay out is like, hey, if you want to make a change, put it in an AIP. And it's like, yeah, but the current setup is what we just saw with AIP 337. The majority of us want something to go through, but the entrenched VCs and the backdoor deals make it so it can happen. So hopefully we did an okay job laying out the foundation of what is happening right now.
Well, and this is one of the key takeaways that we were talking about with Machi, and to me, it's the strongest argument for why having an ape chain makes sense, is because it might provide you more of that funding, revenue model, or some kind of fundraising or ideas, something to get something coming back in.
It's tough because DAO activity is hard to come by. Like I almost want to be here, and I was gonna say like, hey, for those interested, but who the hell is interested? Like not many people are interested in taking it on this on a daily basis or a weekly basis. So what I will end with is like, I felt like I was screaming into the void a little bit. I think it is our job, Gifted, as the network grows, to highlight these things, to make them apparent to people who don't know what's going on, have no idea that ApeCoin DAO is run essentially by a cartel of individuals who have the most ApeCoin. Real quick, I actually want to do something actionable, which is I'm going to hopefully reach out to Starlordy, hopefully reach out to ArtSnitch and say, hey, look, what's needed is these other delegations. So in order to combat this weight of large ApeCoin holders, what we need to do is have smaller delegations that can reach out to people who aren't voting. There's a ton of people with Ape that aren't voting. And get them to delegate to somebody like myself, somebody like Machi, somebody like that is interested in doing this stuff. And that's where you'll kind of close that gap and get the activity of the masses who want this to go through. So I'm going to try to work with the Oni Force and see if there's not some really cool way that we can get tied into ApeCoin DAO. And I think the other collections could do the same. You can have delegates from Oni, and maybe that amounts to a million ApeCoin. And that at least close the gap.
I like it, man. And again, it builds more interoperability or shared interests and more integrations and it builds more interconnectivity between, cool communities and collections. So yeah, I love that, Q. Big brain over here. Y'all smash the like for this, man. He's had a big week, but he's doing some good thinking, and I love it.
Yeah, Quantum saying make a manifesto to pitch for delegates. I like that. I like
Extinct
that a lot.
saying Q for president.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. Next cycle after Trump gets elected. That is what I'll say. Like, I know I keep harping on this because I care so fucking much. You talked about it being a bit like Trump, like Machi's like Trump. This DAO is essentially like the U.S. right now, sending money to Ukraine and sending money to Israel. It's just money going out the door, and everyone around you is like, did I vote for this?
Homeless, no health care.
Like our own like locations, we will like send $1 billion to Lahaina or some like, but where is this money all going? That is essentially a great analogy for what's happening with the DAO. But yeah, I'll rest my case. So who is the face of BAYC right now, Gif? Like lightning question, you have 5 seconds to answer.
What's his
3,
name? Not
4.
Not Gordon Goner.
Wow.
Not Gordon Goner. The other one. Ryder Rips. No. Who's Polly? No. Garga. Garga, I think, is, or Daniel Allegre is starting to, I guess, take on that position. Yeah, but no, I think Gordon Goner, if he can come back, will absolutely assume that position. But right now, because Garga is not the most out there person, Machi is filling a lot of that void, and absolutely is like the people's champ in a lot of ways. So it's between Machi, Garga, and Daniel Allegre, somewhere in that trifecta, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I almost like want to say Machi's not, but yeah, I think he more so in the last 2 or 3 months he's established himself there, and a lot of apes fuck with him. Yeah,
and he was on GM Web3 with us again this morning. If you want to go listen to that recorded episode,
I don't think Daniel Allegre. That would be tough if he was. I don't want Daniel Allegre to be the head of BAYC. Maybe Yuga, go ahead and do that, but not BAYC.
What is up, fellow
apes? All right. Apes. Yeah. Hard times make strong apes. I'll end with that. Hopefully we can figure this shit out. But that was a wild indoctrination into the ApeCoin DAO over the last 24 hours. It's airdrop season, folks. Rainbow coming out and saying we can barely contain our excitement. True believers are always rewarded. GIF. This just feels like it's happening every day now. Like there is some application that is teasing out an airdrop. It really feels like the energy is boiling up around what could be the next bull run off of all of these airdrops and things like that.
Yeah, and look, we can't say or talk about certain things for obvious reasons, but just know that there is a really cool points program that we are going to be talking about next week on the network. So stay tuned for a really awesome new opportunity to get in on the ground floor of a potentially big new platform and farm some points.
Legality aside, I think we're all going to make it. I'm going to let Gifted off the hook today. Okay. It's been a long week. We are some tired individuals. I know you guys are as well. And we got some other things to do as well. I got to mint some parallels here. There's a bunch of different things.
I want to know if you've tried flooring yet, because I went in and started looking at it yesterday and I haven't pulled any triggers or anything because I've gotten wrecked on DeFi too many times and I'm worried that I don't know what I'm doing. So Q, let's offline and talk about flooring a little bit, and maybe we can come in as experts next week.
Let's do it, man. Yeah. The plan for next week as well, dude. Like next week, I think we have already SSP from ApeComs is going to come on. We're going to talk again on hopefully Tuesday. We got Get Reach coming in. I talked with the Illuvium guys.
I think we got Creatorhood and Josh Ong and Mani.
Vibes.
The
vibes are getting higher, sir. But yes, thank you guys for tuning in. You know, not just today, man. We're saying it a lot, but like it does feel like we have some momentum here across the network, and that has a lot to do with our early supporters, man. It does. I truly want to get this network to a point where we can provide more value to those who supported us. Like, and at the end of the day, that we just had the ApeCoin DAO discussion, it comes down to money. You know, it does. And if we can somehow get to this network to a point where we're pulling in, you know, X amount or something like that, I cannot wait to see what we can do with that, because there are much more well-funded networks, and we know that. And if we can get to that point, dude, it's gonna be wild. And I'm excited to be almost there, man. It feels like a powder keg.
Facts. Yeah, appreciate y'all. Smash the like if you haven't. It really does make a big difference. The algos need you. We need you, and now more than ever. But to those who have been showing up regular, often, early, yeah, big love. And what a week, Q. We're going to be jumping out of here and working on the rehash. Of course, it doesn't stop. Look out for those. If you've been sharing and engaging with those and liking those, we see you. We appreciate you. Those are huge for us, and getting more of the curated news that we do on these shows out to more people. So we'll be doing that. That'll be dropping on our X profile just after this in the next hour or two. Top 10 stories coming to you. Fresh, spicy.
All right, y'all. We'll see you on the rehash today and tomorrow. We'll be doing the rehash on Friday, and then we'll do it all again next week. This has been NFT Live. Y'all have been amazing, man. GIF, another week in the books, bro. Appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man. And I'm going to drop a tweet about coffins in the chat for anyone who wants to check it out. That's all I got, man. Our vibe, our trap.
Hopefully you'll both be billionaires for all the value provided. I'll leave with that. Let's all be millionaires. Wag me. I can't end with wag me. Our vibe, our trap.
Bro.